and I ain't even go through it. So
I'm just going through it now.
Kill emailed me the study guide. I ain't get to go through it.
Yo, it's actually pretty funny, man. I was reading it now, like right before you hit me with the link. Yo, I was laughing at Lord Finesse.
The link that
suing Mac Miller for sampling the same shit he sampled.
The link that you sent me to the Mo B joint. There was another person that posted that the Easy Mo B joint that you sent me. Somebody else posted it from a website. Mo B posted it, and I wrote a comment. Yo, hit me right back, and then the other company hit me back too. I followed them. They got like 16 articles posted.
Yeah, I've been trying to get at Mo B for a while. He followed me. I done inboxed him 100 times to be on the show, but he ain't never hit me back.
Man, I missed y'all so much. Y'all have no idea. I'm so fucking sick and tired of school.
Hey man, I feel you, man. Like I said, bro, I'm proud of you for doing it, man.
Yeah, indeed.
Me in school, especially with the internet, I'd be writing a paper, and the next thing you know, I'd be on Twitter for 8 hours. I couldn't even do it, man. I can't.
I don't want to prolong it, but I just got a quick question, y'all. I've been telling my wife this. I said in the next 10 years, the education system as we know it is going to turn because you're going to be able to teach yourself and learn whatever you want on the web. Am I crazy?
No, my wife's a teacher, and they do more teaching off the computer than they do anything. I mean, you gotta remember the education system that we go off of is based off of stuff that we were doing for the Depression, bells and all kind of shit to tell you what time it is, to do what. So it has to change if we expect some change.
And
all right, y'all ready to rock?
Oh, go ahead. We about to get in here.
Yeah, we was about to start a whole new. Some whole new shit.
Yeah, that we use that for the outtakes on the education system of the world. All right, let's get ready to rock, y'all. What's good? Y'all tuned to the Corner Radio hosted by your man Kill. Y'all see I got a packed house up here today. I got my man DJ Rec One. What's good, Rec?
What's going on, man? I got the moving blues, man. That shit sucks.
Hey, man, you moving to a city that's getting blown out by another city.
Hey, let's not talk about that. I'm watching it right now. Please.
Yeah, please. We'll pass on that.
No Veg gonna throw shots too, but please.
What's going on, Ed?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. Just maintaining, you know.
All right, just let everybody know, F still calls me at least once, twice a month to tell me there's new tribe out.
You know. It's not, brother. I just want you to be informed on what's happening.
That's right.
Like that little notification that pop up on your phone, that's me. Yo, tribe out
Yeah, fool. Jay, it's good to have you back in effect, bro. What's good, man?
Hey, man, it feel good to be back on the block. Thank you for having me, fellas.
Always. Nick and Vegas in the same room at the same time with all of us. It's impossible. What's good, Nick?
What's going on?
Everything good, man. What's good, Veg?
It's popping. It's good.
All right. Y'all already know what it is. Let's jump right into it. Probably a couple of weeks ago, I was on Twitter, posted this joint. I wrote on my blog about why tribes, beats, rhymes, and life sucked. Nick, before you even say it, I know you think it was better than the Love Movement. I already know we wrong with it.
It is better than the Love Movement.
But that's a whole nother show. That's a whole nother show. We gonna do a whole couple of shows on Tribe.
That sucked. Without not that one. This the other one you could put in there. That's another conversation.
Listen, never gonna end.
Oh, man.
65 and F still gonna be calling me like, yo, I know you ain't got my guy doing over here. Listen to that trash ass. On a bigger benefit. So one of my peoples on Twitter got at me and was like, look, the reason the album sucked was because of the new sampling laws. And I was kind of lost, like, you know, dog, what you mean? That was 96. I mean, you had Reasonable Doubt, you had J. Rue's second album, you had a whole bunch of albums with samples on it, which started a whole nother conversation on have the sample laws affected hip hop, or people were saying that they basically killed hip hop. And I never understood that for the simple fact that folks still sample, you know. And then Nick chimed in with a good point that I never thought about. But he was like, if you looked at Pete's main ingredient work and the Mecca work versus the Soul Survivor work, it's two different things. Like, you know, Pete was taking Kool and the Gang for Straighten It Out, Ernie Hines, you know, pulling different things from different places. Whereas with Soul Survivor, it was kind of just like one loop or just one song. And I guess I never looked at it like that because I felt like it was still dope. So I knew the sampling laws changed hip-hop. I just didn't think it ruined hip-hop. So that's what we're going to be chopping it up about today. Sampling laws, did it change it? Did it ruin it? A couple of different cases and things like that. So I'm going to start with Vague. Did you feel as though the sampling laws and people getting sued changed hip hop or ruined it, or do you feel like a little bit of both?
I think it changed it. I don't think it ruined it. Mainly because, like at the time, like I remember I read some of the articles and I remember the whole situation with Biz and the album. What was it called? I Need a Haircut.
I Need a Haircut.
Yeah. I remember that, and I think it really stuck with me because the album never came out, and that was the first time I was like, damn, they could do that. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole album's not coming out.
Well, nah, it came out, but they pulled it.
Yeah,
They
pulled it like 2 weeks into it.
Yeah, but by the time they released it, you know, whatever little buzz he had was dead. It was
right.
It was basically known as the album based off the whole suing and sample and shit.
Right.
Not that it was great anyway. But I kind of feel like it forced producers to be even more creative. You know what I'm saying? Like when I was reading about Easy Mo B saying, you know, okay, well, I'll play the sample instead of sampling it verbatim. I'll take the sounds and I'll play some of the shit out, so it's at least a little bit more close to being an original composition. But I don't know, because I like the sampling era, and I think like when you named Pete Rock, I think maybe we were attracted to certain producers because of where they were digging. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like the different thing that was their signature, and then it kind of forced them to create a whole new signature. Now Pete Rock, I can't even tell when it's a Pete Rock beat anymore, but back then I could tell easily. You know what I'm saying, with the horns and shit. So I think it kind of changed it for the better. With notwithstanding the Swiss Beats Casio shit. But yeah, man, I think it kind of, you know, like you said, sampling still happens, but I'm glad it's not the only way we get beats nowadays.
All right, no doubt. Nick, what do you think about that, bro?
I mean, for me, I think it ruined it for a certain set of producers, mainly the sample-based cats, because I think it was Large Professor put out an album in like 2001. I can't even remember the name of it, but he had to go in another direction. There wasn't a lot of samples on it. Like me personally, I didn't feel it.
Okay.
I don't know if you know which one I'm talking about.
What the
First Class maybe was the joint.
First Class.
First Class.
Yeah. First Class. I mean, it was cool, but it wasn't top-notch Large Pro. Right. And even Grap had chimed in too, where he was saying Soul Survivor didn't have as many samples due to the label.
Right.
So like the budget was smaller. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But then you got cats hitting you up for publishing now, like, are you sampling just a piece of my vocal? I want 30%. Like nobody want to do that no more. They don't want to use samples. Nobody want to pay for that when you're not gonna get no bread back. So I feel like in a way it kind of hurt hip hop to a certain extent.
All right, no doubt. What you think, Jace?
I think it's a combination of the two. I think it challenged some producers to work a little bit harder to make things go under the radar. But then it introduces a different era of music that some of us like, some of us don't like. But it also opened the way for certain producers, certain artists in bands that actually are good instrument players to make loops for other people to go, and they give you royalty. They give you leniency with the royalties and with the sample finesse. So I mean, I think it just depends on the producing and the production style. But for me personally, it depends on who you're talking about.
All right. What about you, Ev?
I think it's also a combination of. I think it changed. I mean, to say ruin is so absolute, but I think it's a combination of the two. I think the samples, the sample-based stuff. For me, if you look at historically, the way that hip hop started, it started off of being able to sample because parents didn't have money to buy instruments like that. Well, they just didn't have instruments in the crib like that. One of the two. So the sound itself started from that essence. I think by putting up the sample thing, I get real serious. I think there's some race connotation involved with it. I think that it was probably a little bit of a ploy to kind of stop a movement of music. But I think that we may have closed the door on a whole sound that we could have right now, on top of a whole set of producers who probably were sample based at one point in time that just wasn't. They weren't like the machine was their instrument. Their instrument wasn't a guitar or a piano or something else. That machine was their instrument. And by taking the sample thing away, kind of stripped them of that instrument. And don't get me wrong, I don't think that. I think that cats should get paid. As far as when they're sampled, I think the artists need to get paid. But I think there was some stuff that could be reasonable. And I also think another door that actually closed was the door that, for most of us here, like samples is what got us into the actual original artists. So that brought me into people like Ahmad Jamal and then a bunch of others because somebody sampled their music. So I became not just a fan of that producer, but I became a fan of that actual musician, whoever that was. So I think a huge door closed that probably wasn't for the better. But us being who we are, we're always going to reinvent ourselves. And I think what we're seeing now is a reinvention of not being able to do certain things. So we had to flip it another way.
All right, no doubt. What about you, Rhett?
Oh, man, I agree with pretty much everybody, man. I think it's a combination of a few things. It definitely made you step your game up, because if you were just a sample-based producer and you sampled the wrong artist, chances are you weren't getting that placement just based off of that. I mean, you look at De La. De La could never make a 3 Feet High and Rising again just based off of legality. And we look at the album that they placed, and it was trash. And I don't think it had anything to do with that. I think they may have just been out of touch with what they were trying to do. But I think had they had that opportunity to even touch samples, I think we'd have got a whole different type of album. I agree with Jace too, man. It's some music that is out there now because of the sample laws. Some of it is good, some of it is not. But I think if you're for the culture, I think you're gonna find a way to reinvent yourself and make it what it needs to be. It doesn't have to be. You can walk the line, so to speak. Is what I'm really trying to say. You can find a fine line and walk the line.
What were you gonna say, Nick?
About the De La joint, like De La, they can't even put those albums up for streaming due to the sample laws.
Yeah,
you got a whole generation that can't even hear the De La joints.
Yeah, if we don't pass it back to the young kids, they'll never hear it. It'll get to a point to where some of this stuff's going to be obsolete because they just won't have the chance to hear it because you can't make money off of it. I think one of the things that it did was it killed the way that you as the producer could make money, because I think somebody said it earlier. I think it was Nick. 30% of your publishing, that's being nice, man. You look at Peter Guns and Lord Tariq. They got sued for everything. They made no money off of that. And we all, I bet you if we was in the club right now and that joint came on, everybody like, oh, it was one of the biggest songs of that year. They made no money off of that because they failed to even attempt to try and clear the sample.
Well, what happened with that was they had put it out independently,
right?
Outside,
and it blew up.
Clear the sample,
and it blew up.
But at the end of the day, and we'll kind of get into this, kind of looking at on the musician side of things. Mm-hmm. It's not, because I guess it's almost like if I'm a musician and you come to me sampling, then maybe we could work something out. But if you don't even at all, then I am gonna come for your pockets, because I feel like you tried to play me. Like you ain't even, know how the game is.
Right.
You just bypassed me. So yeah, but one of the things I wanted to say too is that I think the reason why this always confused me is because I'm taking notes too, and I'm like, it hurt the sampling producers, it closed the door. But now I'm wondering, did it really close the door? Because Gilbert Sullivan's case with Bismarck was 1992. Half of the albums that everybody up here that we love came out post 92, and they all had samples. So Midnight Marauders, Smith & Wesson, Black Moon, Return of the Boom Bap. I can name a million of the albums that we love. So this is why I'm always wondering, how did it close the door? Because Primo was Come Clean. I mean, Hard to Earn, The Owners. What was the joint everybody? Moment of Truth is not samples. So how did it close the door? I mean, I think De La got sued by the Turtles. That was 89, 90. You know what I mean? Because that was all 3 feet high. Biz got sued in 92. But everything that comes forward, we're still sampling. So that's where I'm like, how did it close the door? Because Easy Mo B, I feel you on the Flavor in My Ear and maybe the Lex Coops and Beamers, but I mean, come on. The first time I heard Isaac Hayes' Walk On By sample, this Biggie's Warning.
Yeah.
It's Mo B. So it's not like niggas just stop sampling. So,
I think a lot of it, Kill. I ain't mean to cut you, bro.
no. I mean, I'm asking because like I said, to me, I don't get how we're all like it closed the door and nobody's doing it. Kendrick just dropped the album and the next day it's like, here's all the samples. Drake dropped the album next day. Here's all the samples.
I think a lot of it had to do with compensation.
Yeah.
The original artist hitting you in the pockets extra heavy because they're expecting a payday. And if they find out who you're doing the production for, they come in even extra hard for your pockets.
Yep.
So you have a lot of people, instead of making samples, doing interpolations of certain cuts, and you can't recreate the sound.
No, you can't.
You know, so you got live musicians coming in trying to recreate a feel from the 70s. Equipment technology is changing. I mean, it's a whole lot. It has a whole lot to do with it. So while the laws may not have changed since then, people coming for your head, your pockets because they're trying to capitalize has changed. People are a lot greedier now than before.
Yeah, I have to piggyback off of that. I think that's absolutely true, and you got to look at what the labels are willing to pay for now, and what these cats are asking for clearance nowadays. Right. You know, now that they know what can be made, and they didn't get hit to it in the late 80s. They didn't get hit to it until like in the 90s. Like, oh, I can get how much for this?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And they did. They'll go back and buy my catalog based off of this too.
Exactly.
It brings the popularity back to the artist
and demand more money. So I think I think all that gets taken into consideration when because it's not going to die down just like flat. It's going to be a descent, and that's actually what happened.
All right, but hold tight. But what I mean by, like you're saying, there's going to be a descent. If we're starting in 92 with Business Case, there hasn't been a descent in sampling. If anything, it went up. Because keeping in mind all the records, if Biz is 92, I'm sure half of us up here, our favorite albums came out post 92. Illmatic, Ready to Die, Years Later. All of these albums that we're going to start naming are posted, and I haven't seen it gradually fade off because.
Why haven't you? I mean, I think if you look at from the early 2000s into now, it's dropped a whole lot. For the simple fact that cats don't have the budget. One, you got the labels that have been falling, so you're not getting no budget like that, like you were before. They're not doing $1 million budget like that to put an album out. And then two, like I said before, like the compensation that they're asking for is rising. I mean, to me, I've seen a lot of stuff like people ain't sampling the way they used to. Because can't nobody really get it clear like that. And I think also with that, when you got people that kind of came into play like Puffy did it like the way, excuse me, I always use this reference, but it's like the strip club. You go to the strip club, everybody throwing dollars. He comes in, he's throwing dubs. He's throwing 20s. So that ain't like, oh shit, I ain't just dropping for $1 no more. I need at least a 10 or a 20. And everybody kind of like jumped on that thing. Because Puffy's like, yo, I can pay for the sample.
Yeah.
So it's nothing. I'm going to use the whole thing. And then that causes the price increase to go higher and higher.
All right, Nick, I'm going to come to you because I know you got your hand up. I just want to get this out.
Bad.
I think the thing is, too, that I guess the reason why I'm on the opposite side of the fence, like I don't get it, is because all the hip-hop that I listen to is all sample-based. So even the stuff that's coming out now, like to me, the only thing that I felt ever killed sampling in hip-hop was the whole Swiss Beat era, where everybody was going hard. But then once came out the Blueprint, once the Blueprint came out, it literally like the sampling doors was wide open again. Everybody was doing sped up soul. Everything you heard post Blueprint, was right back to sampling.
Why didn't De La sample in their last album? Why did they spend that money to have musicians come in and play and then sample them?
I mean, I get what Jason, everybody is saying about the financial burden and more people trying to go in that way. But keep in mind that if De La got sued in 92. De La got sued, around 92. De La had De La Soul Is Dead. They had Balloon Mind State. They had all those Bionics.
The Grind Date.
It's not like they stopped sampling after they got sued. And De La is only one group. De La is only one group that I can think of in the past 10 years that had a whole album with no samples. So that's a minority to me. That's the asterisk. Daylight isn't the rule of thumb. It's not like the new, I'm just looking through my phone right now. It's not like the new, God, I got so much old stuff in my phone. It's not like I'm looking like I can't even name nobody, dude. It's all old people. The new Chance the Rapper was all over it. The new Childish Gambino samples. The new Common samples. Like, so again, it's not like Daylight was the rule of thumb and everybody was like, oh snap, we ain't gonna sample no more. I get the money piece and I actually applaud the hip hop producers like Primo and Pete and these other people who kept sampling even though they knew people were gonna come for their pockets. I mean, what the album Moment of Truth that went gold, that most people call the biggest Gangstar album, that was 97, 98. Everybody knew about the sampling laws by then, but Primo still sampling.
But also, didn't some of those contracts change where the sample had to be cleared by the actual producer? So it wasn't the responsibility of the artist to get those samples?
And the producer lost money on his publishing end as opposed to the label.
Right. So if you got producers that's bringing you beats, and you got to realize Daylight, they're not doing their whole album production-wise. They're having other producers come in and contribute to these albums. So if you got that kind of a contract signed, you don't have to worry about the samples.
But I mean, again, that was a specific contract that the producer could sample if they chose to. So if I was a producer and I said they could come to me and say, hey, you could get contract A, which gives you less money, but more protection on the back end if you get sued, or you could take contract B, which is more money up front, but if they come for you, that's on you. So it's not like it's the law.
Everybody got that option, though. That's an assumption that you're making now.
I mean, okay, it could be an assumption, but I'm saying what the fact is that sampling has not slowed down. You saying Daylight, but again, there's nobody else recently that I can look through and say, oh, this album had no samples on it. So that's where I still don't get
clear. You're saying from the mid-90s to now, sampling has not slowed down for you?
I don't think so, because I'm looking through my phone and I'm looking at albums, and please give me some.
So go ahead, Nick. Because I know Nick has something to say. Go ahead, Nick.
I'm going to Nick, and I'm gonna go to Vegas. Go to Nick in Vegas. Nick, what you got?
Or samples being used as much. That's my thing, because like I said, Pete Rock will use 8 samples on one song, and nobody's doing that now.
Oh no, and I agree with you. I agree with you 100% on that, because like I said in this book, I always bring up where they was talking about creative license, where they're saying you cannot make another It Takes a Nation of a Millions or Paul's Boutique, because like you said, everybody was like making this whole collage of
collage of sound.
I agree. Like I said,
consider it a slowdown. That's not slowing down. That's not being slowed down.
That's slowing down to me.
But what I'm saying is my opinion. Then again, this is just what I mean. We just have different opinions, because Ev, you brought up Daylight. That's slowing down. We don't have no samples. Soul Survivor, every song is a sample. So just in my opinion, the way, and that's cool. We have different definitions.
I'm talking about the last Daylight. I'm talking about from last year, 2016.
You said from what?
What was that? Was that 16? Daylight put that album out?
Yeah, it was 16. Yeah. It was the end of last year, middle to the end of last year.
I'm not talking about Daylight in the 90s, because Soul Survivors in the 90s. You still talking?
No, I'm just talking about, but Ev, name somebody else besides Daylight. We got to name somebody else. We can't keep saying we're talking about the culture, but we only keep naming one person. So give me somebody else besides Daylight who hasn't sampled recently.
All right, how about Tribe?
I'm going to get to Vegas. Vegas, what's good?
I think, well, 2 things. I think when you say slow down, it has, but it doesn't have this drastic, definition to it that slow down sounds like. It's because there was a time where everybody sampled, everything was a sample. Hip hop beats were just samples. That slowed down with this, with people getting sued, but it didn't stop. It actually kind of expanded the playing field, like you said. There are people today who are still sampling, and probably they sample all the time, and then there are people who stay completely away from it, or as much as they can. And that could be different kinds of contracts. That could be, we're going to pay, Kansas City Slick, who had a blues record, for his whole catalog, just in case we fucking sample it. This is your rate, or whatever the fuck. You know what I'm saying? Because it's one thing when you sample from popular artists or from labels that, like some major label that got lawyers. It's another thing if it's some dude who nobody knows, he had that one hit, and maybe he owns the rights to that one hit, and he just doing mom and pop deals with the sampling of it. So it could be, it's different reasons why one group of artists may have all samples and another one may be like, fuck that, I don't want to pay anyone. Because I can see De La saying, we raised all this money, I'm trying to pocket some of the shit. Fuck the sampling and paying, let's try to make something. It's possible to make something dope without sampling, which we
on that point right there, we're back on De La. I know you have your ear to the street more than anybody I know. Out the people you're listening to, who isn't sampling?
I don't think there's not one person I listen to.
Isn't and slow down is not, and slow down is not the same thing. You can't equate those. You talking about slow down, but you're looking for stop.
Yeah. It's not a stop thing, because I'm pretty sure there's plenty of, like, even to Pimp a Butterfly, there's a lot of live instrumentation on there and stuff like that. But I feel like it's a mix now. It's, you're gonna get certain records where you like, okay, this shit gotta be bands, and you look at the credit and you see, musicians in there, and then there's certain shit that come on, you like, yo, this is a sample. All right. So I think it's both. It didn't stop, but it did slow down because people started taking other avenues to create.
All right, so dig it. I like researching numbers and shit. So I'm on Who Sampled, and for 1995, you had over 5,000 songs that were sampled. In 2016, you had over 3,000. That's still a slowdown.
Yeah, I mean, and cool. Again, it's just different definitions for the same word. For me, slow down meant it stopped. You know what I mean?
I'm not saying it stopped. Don't let it stop.
Because at the end of the day, for me, slow down means there are less groups that sample. And again, who sampled? They don't know every sample that was used, because I go on there plenty of times. Yeah. But I'm just saying that at the end of the day, if everybody up here can only keep saying De La Soul is the only hip hop group in the past 20 years that came out with an album with no samples, again, give me somebody else.
Well, but how many samples was on Kendrick album? I don't recall that many on the last album. Maybe a couple of songs. Yeah, it's not a lot of samples on that record.
On Damn, I just saw it join on YouTube with damn near every song on there. Same thing with Drake. Same thing with Drake.
I'm not saying that. I'm not looking at you an album with absolutely no samples at all. I mean, we could pull Outkast out.
Yeah.
How many times they sample?
A racket time. Because here's the funny thing. Everybody, and I'm not talking about y'all. I'm just talking about people in general. People love to say, yo, Dr. Dre don't sample no more. Half of his shit was still sampling when we thought he wasn't sampling. People used to love to say, oh, Timbaland don't sample, until they found out all that shit was sampled. So a lot of times people be like, oh, no, such and such don't sample no more, not even knowing, because, like, I forgot who said it, they're digging so deep. Timbaland was going so deep in the different countries and stuff like that, you thought it wasn't a sample. But it wasn't. There was a lot of Timbaland joints that I was like, and I was fooled too. I was like, damn, Timbaland's a beast. He be coming up with that. And then, like, once YouTube and social media started popping, I was like, damn, that was a sample? That was a sample? That was a sample. So there's a lot of times we think things aren't a sample. Just because who sampled it didn't find it yet doesn't mean something wasn't sampled. But I get what you're saying. I don't want to belabor, because, like you said, y'all are right. It did slow down because...
Well, is replaying it sampling, though?
Well, see, that's the other thing, and this is the reason.
That's what Dre does.
This is the reason why I wanted to have Bezo on here, because he had a story, and again, it's not gonna. I wanted it firsthand. It's gonna be secondhand, so it may not be everything correct. But around the time, I guess it was 96, 97, Bezo and my man Shy, my man Roots, who all went to Morgan with us, they had a song. If y'all remember Young Z from Jersey, he got signed to Perspective Records.
Yeah, Young Z from up north.
Yeah, from Newark.
Yeah.
Rod Digger's baby father, whatever.
Yeah. Outsiders.
Right, Outsiders. Bezo had got a joint on his album called Stay Gold. And Shy did the beat. It was Shy, Bezo, and Roots. They was a production crew. Nobody knows. Y'all could Google. It's up on YouTube, Stay Gold, Young Z. And what happened was, at the time, it was featuring Lauryn Hill. Now, we're talking 96 Lauryn Hill. We're talking... Just got off of, The Score, Killing Me Softly. She's the biggest star in the world. She's singing the hook on it. So, everybody's excited for them, like, yo, y'all about to blow, this about to be it. They sampled Stevie Wonder's song, Stay Gold. Stevie heard the song, didn't like all the cursing and drug references in it, and said, I don't want to clear the sample. So Shy called me because he knew my mom was a jazz musician and was on some old like, yo, can your moms get to New York like today or tomorrow? I need some stuff replayed. And I'm like, nah, I mean, my mom is a mother, dog. Like, she can't just get off to NY like on a whim or whatever like that. And then after that, then label politics came in because then Sony was like, oh, well, you know, Lauryn Hill is too big for this Young Z record. Yeah, Young Z was on the score, but that was prior to where Lauryn is. Then they pulled Lauryn off the album. Then Perspective ended up closing their doors. And it just took a moment of like, wow, one of us is about to really do it to it just, you know, went away. And again, YouTube the song Stay Gold, Young Z. It's a dope song. Lauryn is on it. My man Shy did the beat. It's crazy. And I wanted him on here to kind of talk about that because, Nick, like you said, I don't know the laws of if you replay it verbatim or if you add a note, because there's so much. I feel like there's so many like rumors. Like, it's like, oh, well, if you change a note, you know, then it's cool. And I would lean on Eb on that because he's a composer. Eb, do you know, like, if you replay the sample, do you still have to clear it, or what do you know about that?
The only thing that I remember from class on something like this was if you replay it, it's all. If I remember correctly, don't quote me on this, I think it's all according to how strong your lawyers want to take it in court. Mm-hmm. You know, if they can really wrestle with that whole thing. I think it's really dependent upon that, because I don't know how many notes that you can follow in suit until it's considered like robbery. But if you look at it, I mean, shit, that's how I mean, don't get me started, man. Everything from Muddy Waters and all these other cats, Rolling Stones to Zeppelin, even though I'm a Zeppelin head, that shit was taken straight up from other musicians.
Snatchies, no givebacks.
And then you come up a little bit later, even Love Supreme. Love Supreme is actually from another song. You know, that actual chord structure was from another song. So I don't know, when it gets into that, man, you know, it's funny how, you know, it don't get to a point where it's legal and until you start talking about hip hop. And it's like, oh, it's sampled, you know, it's copyright infringement. So I mean, I think from what I remember in class, it was more about like how strong the lawyer was willing to go with, you know, in court, because, you know, can you pay to be in court that long disputing that, and how many notes really doesn't make before it's a legal issue.
Well, yo, Kill,
good.
in one of those articles you sent, Easy Mo B was talking about how he switched up after that because he got a note from the label saying, you know, y'all couldn't sample these artists,
Right?
And when he made the beat for Busta Rhymes' Everything's Raw, he played all of that shit out,
Right.
Even though it was basically taken from other parts of, I guess, other songs or maybe one song, I'm not sure. But he never faced any litigation from it, maybe because he played it out or maybe he tweaked it a little bit. So there could be a case-by-case basis where, like you said, you know what I'm saying, if your lawyers want to go hard and nitpick at everything that come out, you may have a problem. But in his case, it solved it for him. You know what I'm saying? Because actually, in that article, he kind of spoke to what y'all were talking about in the beginning, about the whole, he feeling like, yo, sampling is my foundation. What am I going to do now? This was after the Bismarcky shit.
Right.
And that was one of his ways to reinvent himself, where he was still kind of sampling, but he was able to do it in different ways, whether it was playing stuff out or chopping shit. So, I guess it evolved. You know what I'm saying? All of it evolved.
Right. And the crazy thing is, because the first thing I remember about sampling Hoopla that I heard, I was 14. It was 88. And Stetson Sonic just came out with their second album in full gear, and it was talking all that jazz.
Yeah.
You know, when so I mean that's the thing, like that this sampling Hoopla has been going on since 88. You know, when I think they was talking about James Mtume, because I think Mtume was on the radio talking greasy about hip hop, and you know that got the little rhymes like, you know, tell the truth, James Brown was old until Eric and Rod came out with I Got Soul, rap brings back old R&B, and if we were not, people would have forgot. So it's kind of like, you know, this sampling Hoopla is not a new thing, and a lot of times folk will act like this is something new. This has been going on since 88, since I was 14. I'm 43. You know what I mean? So I think what you're saying with Easy Mo B is dope, because I guess Mo B was like, because to be honest, I don't that everything remains raw. Even the joint he did for Craig Mack, the Flavor in Your Ear.
Yeah, Flavor in Your Ear.
It sounds like from that article, I see what he's saying. But even when Primo chops, if you're listening close enough, you can still find the song. He may not just listen to blatant loop. And that's when the sampling police came in, like around 94, 95-ish. That's when I remember my man Roots telling me about the sample police, which was basically dudes like us who lawyers would hire to listen to stuff and basically snitch and be like, okay, like, yo, listen to this new Gangstar album, find out what it is. And then those lawyers would then contact those artists and say, hey, this group just used your song. Would you like to bring a lawsuit against them? You know, boom, 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 like that, because now it was becoming big business. So I think Jason F said earlier, it's such a financial piece. And to me, it's almost like a testament to how much a lot of these producers loved hip hop so much that they were willing to let their pockets get hit in order to keep making dope music, because everybody could have went the Easy Mo B route. But the funny thing is everybody can't do what Mo B did. You know what I mean? Like, it's funny. We just had PJ Morton on last week, and he was saying, like, everybody isn't Prince. So you hear Prince say, hey, I learned how to play the piano. I never took a lesson. Now everybody up here think you can't do the same thing that Prince did. You know, like, I probably can't take just a song and do what Mo B did. Everybody can't do that. You know what I mean? PJ Morton said that. He taught himself how to play the piano. That shit's amazing to me, because I've tried and it don't work for me. I can't teach myself how to play the piano. So I'm wondering if, like Nick said with Large Professor, have producers just said, you know what? I'm not making no money, so I got to go this route. Versus, because that first Classmate came out in 2000. The Owners came out maybe post 2000, and that's all samples. So maybe Premier was just like, or like Grab said, maybe it was the budgets. Like, I have enough, or it's the crap game shoot. Like, I'm willing to take a chance. You know what I mean?
But Premier got bread. I don't think Lost Professor got bread like Premier. Because Premier done produced for Jay-Z, Biggie.
Yeah, that's got a lot. That's got a lot to do with it. I heard Just Blaze say that he did albums damn near for nothing up front, based off of what he was sampling. Like, he wasn't getting paid on a lot of stuff. You know, just because people taking the publishing.
I think a certain level of this is hip hop too, man. Hip hop is like, yo, I'm gonna do it until they say I can't do it. You got rap writing to breaking, the whole thing. Like, I'm gonna do it until they tell me, until they catch me. Not when they say I can't do it, but until they catch me.
And I think that's a good point. It goes back to kind of like what me and Theo was talking about. Young Guru was talking about how, like, yo, when you was doing it for the culture, it was like F said, you know, catch me if you can. You know, you had cats doing graph. First thing you had to do was rob a store.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then you robbing a store, you can go to jail for that. Then we're gonna sneak into the train yards, we're gonna hop fences, we're gonna get chased by dogs, we're gonna do all of this shit.
All while you could die.
Right. And I could die just so I can sit at the writer's bench and watch my piece go by. You know, so I do think, like F said, it's a lot of hip hop in it. Like, you just gonna have to catch me, because I think when Jake One was on here, he said, yo, I've been sued. Like, everybody's been sued. Like, I don't think there's one hip hop producer that we all look up to that probably hasn't been sued.
I gotta add, just being sued and actually having to pay is not the same thing.
Right.
Cats get something, they're getting sued, and then something, and it gets thrown out, but then that's they have to come out of their pocket for nothing.
That's true indeed.
Throw that in there.
Yeah. And another thing, I was always wondering, like, we were talking about the different contracts, because I always assumed, because I know with me and Veg, you know, with our projects, we would give them away for free, not wanting to get sued. But I was always wondering, if you sue me, what you gonna get? These records? Like, I ain't got shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, that's why I always thought they went after the labels. Like, okay, well, we're gonna sue Def Jam because they got the money. We ain't really Premier, because this nigga living with Branford Marcellus and his wife in Brooklyn.
Well, did you?
I'm not saying like that, but what I'm saying, the way that music was.
Yeah, I know, right?
Breck, why you? I'm not saying it like that. I'm saying
no, you good.
And the hate hip hop that
they were smart. They knew who to go after for what they truly wanted.
Yeah, but not that. I'm just talking about the Premier living with Grant with the Marcellus.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because at that time, during the Daily Operation album, they were living in Brooklyn with the Marcelluses. And like I said, when you think about how money changed, you've got to look at hip hop pre-Puffy and post-Puffy, because Pre-Puffy, you had EPMD. You had PMD saying, "Still, I've never seen a rapper living comfortably."
Yep.
And that was 92. That was my freshman year going into Morgan and that was the mindset of you haven't seen a rapper living comfortably. You know what I mean? And now you think about that post Puffy, everybody, now we got MTV Cribs. MTV Cribs prior to Puffy would have looked like that Redman episode.
Yes, sir.
That's not a legitimate television show.
I mean, I'm not saying like that, but I'm also saying that money changed. Like I said, Tip was still living in his mom's house and sleeping in his sister's twin bed when Midnight Marauders was out. And this is one of the biggest, if not the biggest hip hop group in the world. And this dude is still living at home, sleeping in his sister's twin bed. So just to look at how the music changed too. Now tell me this, how would you all feel? Let's look at it from the artist side. Let's look at it like, hey, you're an artist, you know, you came up with this music, you're not really into what's going on now. How would you feel about sampling? Like, would you be against it? Would you be trying to tap niggas' pockets? Or would you kind of be in the middle like, okay, well, I'm willing to work with you, young blood. You know, and let's keep it 100. Because I want, if you be like, nah, fuck that. I don't want nobody, like, keep it 100. Like, Vague, how would you feel if you were one of these artists being sampled? Would you be cool with it, against it, or somewhere in the middle? Like, let's work out something.
I think I'd be cool with it because, you know, it would give my music some more life. Probably at a point where, you know, maybe it's died down and, you know, maybe nobody remembers the music. But I think they in some way they would have to capture the essence of it, because sometimes, you know, when shit is chopped, you know, like we can tell where it came from and like, oh, that's the element from this and that. But there's some people who can't even read none of that shit. And this is an example, but not really from a musician standpoint, from a basic artist standpoint, where remember T.I. had that shit, Bring 'Em Out?
Yeah.
And it had the sample of Jay-Z saying, bring 'em out, bring 'em out. And I'm like, yeah, but that's a sample of Jay-Z quoting a fucking Biggie line. So somebody's going to go back and say, oh, I like that Jay-Z shit you sample. And I'm like, no, that's Big's fucking line. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think that, to me, I wouldn't want that lineage to be lost somehow. You know what I'm saying? It would have to be a little bit more than just, you know, a credit that nobody would probably see nowadays. It would have to be it had to be used in a way where I feel like it captures at least the essence musically. It doesn't have to capture it content wise, but musically, where people can be like, damn, I love that sample. What is that? And then it will go back and, you know, hear my shit and hopefully, you know, love it just the same.
All right, bet. Nick, what about you? What side of the fence would you be on? And keep it 100, man.
Yeah, no, like me, I would be reasonable with it, because I think the more reasonable you are, the more people will want to sample your music because they know you ain't hitting them over the head. So that's where I was standing. I wouldn't be one of the cats like, give me all of that. Give me 90% of that. Right. I would try to be reasonable. The more reasonable you are, the more people will want to sample it. And then, you know, the more new ears get turned on to your music. Kind of revitalize interest in your music.
All right, no doubt. What about you, Jace?
I think I'd be sensible monetarily. I'd be more interested in the artists themselves, man. I'd like from producer standpoint, you work with somebody, you want to vibe with them, right? If you're gonna let my legacy live on, let me vibe with you real quick, feel where you at. You know, money. I'm gonna want some money, but you know that ain't the biggest issue. Depending on where I'm at in life, I can honestly say that situations dictate. But let me vibe with you real quick.
All right. What about you, Ev?
I think I would kind of be like how if you watch Drink Champs with Primo, I think I would kind of be like that. Like, yo, come sample me all day. Like, sample me. But if it goes under a certain amount of streams and a certain amount of sales, then, you know, there'll be some kind of like dollar amount that made sense.
Now, hold tight, because I don't know what Primo said.
What Primo said when it came to the Biggie joint, when Biggie came to get a I forget what track it was. And, you know, Primo makes the beat on site, right there on site. So he made the beat. He was like, look, he charged him an amount that was super low for what Primo's rate was. He was like, listen, if this shit goes, I think if it went platinum, he's like, this shit go platinum, then come back and see me with like another 10 G's or some shit like that. And he did that. You know, he did it for like 2 or 3. I think it was like two or three tracks or something. It was some kind of, I'm just throwing numbers, but it was some kind of small amount that he was charged. But Preem was like, "Yo, if this shit goes platinum, then this is what I want." And it wasn't nothing that was written. That's the beauty of hip hop, man. There wasn't no contract signing up like that. It was just like my word. And Biggie went back there with Puff and broke Primo off, you know, what that dollar amount was. And I think I would do it something like that. I mean, me personally, because I'm an older cat, I can't really say I would really like assess the music so hard because, you know, that's the same way older cats try to assess our music. They just didn't have an ear for it. So I may not have an ear for what they're doing, but I'm like, yo, you want to sample it? It gives a chance for my music to continue living, which is the reason why I made it anyway. But if it goes over a certain amount, then yeah, then let's then we can talk. You know, we can say this is the dollar amount after that.
All right, cool. What about you, Rap?
I agree wholeheartedly with Ev, man. I think it's almost like what James Brown did. He didn't beat nobody in the head. And James Brown has a lore based just off of that. You gotta remember, this dude was on drugs, in and out of jail, and sample laws opened up a whole new set of areas. You got people's grandkids now that know James Brown based off of hip hop songs. So I don't think you got to beat nobody in the head, man. If the music is good and people are sampling your music, why not? Why not invite them to come and sample your music and vibe with the artist? I think you're gonna get a lot more on the back end, whether it's monetarily or artistically through your music, than just being, you know, somebody that you don't want to sample your music, because then your legacy has a chance to die. Right. Or it's going to be stuck in that box that you left it to be in. It's not going to have a chance to spread out and have other people hear it.
Yeah. And I think I'm sorry, babe, what you got?
Yeah, real quick. One thing I think we kind of overlooked is not every musician or artist owns the rights to their music.
Yeah, they don't.
So,
I was just about to bring that up.
In some cases, they don't. Like, I think it happened with Rick James. That's why he was so pissed that Can't Touch This. And I think initially I was like, well, you know, why you let him sample it? But then I didn't realize, like, oh, well, shit, maybe he doesn't have the rights to it, so that's why it was able to be sampled and shit.
Yeah, but George Clinton too.
Yeah, exactly.
George Clinton.
That shit has got to suck.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's the hard part about it. I mean, for me, I'm somewhere in the middle. I think I'm with Ev and everybody. I think I'm in the middle with Jace. Like, just like, if you want to sample my stuff, I ain't saying they can't. You know, hip hop is hip hop, but if you just like fuck a bitch, suck a bitch, fuck a bitch, like I'm like,
no doubt, yeah.
But you listen to Akinelli.
I mean, I do, but I'm just saying,
you might put it in your mouth a couple times. I mean,
I
can't front. I play Akinelli all the time.
When it came out, I was like, yo, this is crazy. I think it was crazy because nobody had done something that outlandish.
Two Live Crew had some shit. That shit was crazy.
Yeah, but I mean, straight up,
really,
it's a difference because he had a chick on it, man. That's what.
Go ahead on his mouth. You hear me? Your head when it was like, "Don't stop, pop that pussy." You was like,
I'm just saying, but you're right. I'm older. I'm wiser. If the Yin Yang Twins came to me with the Whisper song, I would be on my Stevie Joint like, nah, I don't think about it. On the Whisper song, all of that. One of the things, like Jake said, the sad part is that so many of these artists aren't even getting the money, and I think that's, you know, it goes back to, you know, I never forget when New Edition movie was on and they was getting jerked in the movie. And everybody was on Twitter like, oh, read your contracts. I'm like, y'all motherfuckers don't even read your iOS updates that come out. Y'all motherfuckers could be like, we are going to watch you 24 hours a day. You like, yeah, click. So that's the hard part about it, is that these artists were always young. And even if they were old, hell, I'm 43 and still don't know all these laws. You know, and back then you weren't thinking, hey, let me get a lawyer and let me do this. And it was like, hey, this man's coming with a contract and it sounds good. It's going to get my family out the hood. You know, kind of like with DOC with Eazy-E. When Eazy-E was like, yo, sign over your publishing for this DOC chain. For DOC, he like, yo, made sense to me. I wanted a chain. Writing rhymes ain't nothing. And that's the sad part about it. And that's been going on for years. So I think that's the saddest part, is that even when these artists are being used, a lot of times they aren't getting paid.
Mhm.
I do remember a story of Just Blaze saying that he ran into the guy who did Song Cry.
Mm-hmm.
And he said something to the extent of, he was like, they talking, he was like, yo, man, thank you so much for using my song. The money I got for that helped me to open a music center for kids.
Yep.
Oh wow.
You know what I mean? So like, you know, they ran into each other, and it's like, you know, so it is dope when those, like we said, it's a Jay-Z, it's a Rockefeller, they have the budget to actually clear the samples. They're not trying to get sued. So I do think it's a happy medium that can be met. I think it is just hard when, you know, like you said, these artists want 100% of your publishing, you know, and you know, they want everything. And I'm in the middle of, is it being greedy, or is it, hey, I gotta eat? Like, hey, if you made the song in 1960, 9 times out of 10, you broke right now.
Yo, with that, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
How do you feel about the Primo Chuck D thing with the Biggie joint then?
Well, the funny thing is, the first time I heard 10 Crack Commandments, I was like, damn, this nigga Primo used Chuck's voice to talk about.
That's the first thing you said? Oh, shit.
Before I even bobbed my head, I was just like, oh shit, this nigga's talking about selling crack. Literally, I swear to God on my life, that was the first thing I
said that on the show before.
And,
Yeah, he did.
And I felt bad. Do I feel bad? Because I want to talk about that. Like, how do we feel about hip hop artists suing hip hop artists? And is it just a contradiction? I think for me, I wasn't mad at Chuck for the simple fact
Not
that
at all.
I knew what Chuck stood for. And I felt like it was kind of disrespectful for Cream to do that. Now, keep in mind that beat was originally used for Angie Martinez show. So it was used as
Countdown beat. It was for a countdown.
Big eventually said he wanted it, and that's how it happened. Me personally, if Nick was an MC and he wanted to rhyme about selling drugs, me personally, I would not sample Chuck D's voice, no matter how I find somebody else to find the one account.
I have to ask the question. Because I understand we're looking at Preem like, oh, Preem, why you do it? But Chuck cleared it. Like, if my thing is, if you Chuck and you like, yo, I ain't about that life, then I ain't about that life. But it's like, I ain't about that life.
I thought Chuck sued him. That's why, because he didn't clear it.
No, I thought I read something that said Primo paid him for that sample.
No. What happened was Chuck sued, and then Primo paid out of pocket instead of suing Biggie's estate. Preem paid. It didn't get cleared. It just was something like, you know, it was
correct.
Name, and then instead of and Preem being the hip hop nigga that he is, was like, yo, I don't want you touching Big Mom money and, you know, his kids' money. I'll just pay out of pocket whatever you're with the suit is.
So Chuck never actually wanted that out like that.
Nah, he never wanted that out like that. You know what I mean? But that goes into the next conversation of, how do you feel about artists suing artists? We talked about the Lord. Well, we didn't talk about it. We kind of touched on
it. I don't mean to take up too much time, but wouldn't that be a cease and desist then? Wouldn't he have to stop altogether and not like put that out anymore?
I don't know. Like, I wish we had an entertainment lawyer up here, because I'm wondering, like, why did the Bismarck album have to get taken off shelves? But
yeah, this one just it was basically some money was exchanged and it was all good.
Yeah, you know. But how do you guys feel about that? Because I know at one time a point, Preem was like, yo, man, all these hooks I'm scratching, I guess technically I could be sued by an artist for them, but it's like, come on, y'all, that's hip hop. You know what I mean? That's what we do. We use each other's words or something like that. So how do you feel about, like, and if people don't know, Mac Miller had a song out that sampled the Lord Finesse song. And I don't, maybe y'all, and again, I sent out the study guide and I ain't reading my damn self.
I read it.
I got it right here.
Did he sample the Lord Finesse song?
No, he didn't sample it. He just basically took the record,
he just
put that bitch on play and rapped.
He rapped over the instrumental.
He rapped over the instrumental.
Okay, so how do y'all feel about that? Mac Miller takes a Lord Finesse, instrumental, rhymes over it, and how do you feel about Lord Finesse suing him for that? How do you feel about it?
Was this for a free mixtape though? Because that changes things a little bit.
It's for a free mixtape.
Okay.
But one of the things that I think I did read it, either in that or in something I've been reading this week, they were saying that you can still be sued.
Well, it wasn't that though. They were saying that they sued off the fact that this is what built Mac Miller's career, and so he
was performing it live.
It was part of the live performance.
All right. So, Veg, what do you think about hip hop artists suing hip hop artists?
Well, first of all, I don't like Mac Miller. So
Vegas on his anti-white kick.
Yes, I knew it was
How
coming.
could- yo,
I knew it was coming.
how could
I knew it was coming. I said, "Don't ask Big. Please don't ask Big."
Wait a second. Is Mac Miller white or black? He white out like that.
Yo, I'm the only nigga on the panel who like Eminem. He not white?
Nah, you right.
All right. I don't like the nigga for MC purposes. The nigga's not nice at all. He doesn't deserve it. But beyond that, I don't know. Like it's because I read the article on it, and the whole thing with the free mixtape situation is like y'all said was the fact that he kind of built his career off of it. The suit didn't really go through. I think they settled out of court. But it got a little petty because, Lord Finesse was angry about it. And Mac Miller was like, Lord Finesse didn't even clear the sample. Like, he basically got snitched.
He snitched on him.
See why I don't like this nigga?
He snitched on him.
Nigga's a crab. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it got a little petty and all of that. But I feel like as an artist, I don't know. I guess I think at a certain point, this is where the lawsuits and all this shit might have fucked hip hop up. Like I might have to renege on my first statement at the beginning because I don't know if that would have happened had it not been all these lawsuits from these soul singers and all these other musicians. So now you have Lord Finesse sitting in that position now, and he's looking like, oh, this nigga's famous and he's basically rhyming over, my shit. He's kind of like within his rights to sue, but part of me kind of feels like that's almost foul too, because it's like, that's hip hop. Like I'm rhyming over other people's beats. You gonna come after me if people start liking the shit I wrote? You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. It's kind of, I don't know, but I don't like Mac Miller, so that's a bad example.
Yo, Nick, what do you think, bro? How do you feel about the whole hip hop artists suing hip hop artists? Nick, Nick.
I didn't know that. So Lord Finesse didn't clear that sample. That changes it.
So, but tell me, why does that change it?
Because if Lord Finesse didn't clear the sample, then whoever he sampled it from should be suing him. Like, oh, you suing him? I'm gonna sue you too, because you ain't clear that shit for me.
Right.
But I mean, I get it, because the whole thing with Mac, even though it was free, he getting booked for shows now because of that song. So he getting paid, for doing that song live. He profiting from that. So I got why Lord Finesse did that. I ain't mad at that.
All right. What you think, Jace?
Yo, to quote Cam, niggas get murdered in the streets every day, B. Straight up, at this point, I mean, straight up, you know what it is at this point when it comes to the sampling biz. You take it from somebody else. If you ain't cleared it, somebody could come and cut your head off regardless of who it is, yo. You playing with fire, you might get burned. You could get away, but niggas get it every day, yo. You know what it is.
Well, this nigga went to paid in full, man.
UBIA.
I'm sitting here like you talking to Ace all shot in the head. You just like UBIA, be like, what's up with them bricks? Like, but I think the wild part is, but I guess I just didn't expect it from a hip hop dude. It's almost like, like if you're selling drugs, you're probably gonna get killed, but you don't expect to get it from your man. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, if you get, I don't know. Rec, what do you think, man? What you think?
For the case that we're using, I think Finesse was wrong. First and foremost, he's one of the gatekeepers, so he should have known what it was. I mean, it's like Nick said, if you sampled it, how can I sue you for something I sampled? If that's what we going off. If I can't sue nobody else for something I sampled myself. Now, if I sat in the booth and I made it, okay, that's one thing. But you sampled it, so you can't sue nobody for something you sampled.
Let me get this straight. If we all sitting down playing spades, and I play out of suit, and y'all don't catch me, but I catch y'all, I'm wrong.
Yeah, you wrong because you did it in the first place. It's called integrity.
But you ain't catch me, and I'm winning.
Then I didn't catch you. Then I don't have nothing to stand on.
So what are we talking about?
But I feel Jay.
But he got caught. He got caught.
Lord Finesse didn't get caught. Mac did.
Hey,
Yeah,
you gotta talk to Finesse.
but see, Mac
It's like Veg said. Finesse might have shot himself in the foot by doing that.
yeah.
If he could have spun it and said, "Look, how about you let me hop on a remix?" They could have both ate off that shit.
What was you saying, man?
Well, I was making a joke, but I do have another point to add. I was saying Mac Miller on that Kobe Bryant shit. You know, like you don't get bagged for rape and then bring up my name. But yo, the other thing I wanted to say, and I think maybe this is where Lord Finesse probably started to get angry, even though like he didn't clear it. Sometimes dudes like if you taking somebody's shit, if you kind of put something in your rhyme to lead people to, you know, where it originally came from. Sometimes dudes are a little bit more forgiving as opposed to, you know, here's this new record. None of your fans are going to know where it came from because it's just a beat and there's no way for them to know that's Lord Finesse's song. You know what I'm saying? Where you didn't put like a little riff in your rhymes to highlight, you know, where it came from.
Where you got it from.
Yeah. Not saying that he wouldn't still want money, but he might have respected that a little bit more. Like, you know, he's showing me love. On a free mixtape, as opposed because that means when he performs it, he's also advertising for Lord Finesse at the same time. But he probably looked at it like, you know, who is this dude just rhyming over my beat, you know, getting shows and shit.
Exactly.
So
Lord Finesse like, who this punk ass white boy? That's what that was.
You know
that
what?
race had something to do with it. If Mac Miller was black, he wouldn't have went at him like that.
And I'm wondering if it's a situation where it's like, yo, Finesse is now, or the hip hop pioneers that we looked up to, they're now, and I'm in nobody's pockets. I'm just throwing something out there. It may be that they're not financially where they want to be at. You see somebody winning, and it's an opportunity for you the same way the soul artist, you know, may not be winning, and they may be at a lower point. You know what I mean? And it's like, yo, I see somebody winning off my joint, so you know, I gotta sue you. I just think with the Mac Miller thing, I'm thinking as Mac Miller, I'm like Vague said, I'm not thinking if I'm rhyming over your beat, I gotta clear it because that's not hip hop. You know what I mean? Like that's what the people outside of hip hop do to us. And I think that was maybe the first time that hip hop did it to itself. You know, that it was like, okay, what's up, Ev?
So you saying that I'm trying to grasp. I'm trying to wrap my head around that. You're saying that because it's hip hop, it was cool for Mac Miller just to take his beat and rhyme on top of it?
No, I'm not saying that it's hip hop. I'm saying that I don't think people. I think anytime that a producer or an MC grabs a record and uses something old, somewhere along the line you're thinking sampling clearance. Whether it's are we going to clear it, how much it's going to cost, whatever. But if you're just rhyming, if you as Ev, as Mental DMC, just decide, yo, I'm gonna rhyme over Rakim's Let the Rhythm Hit Him and put it on a mixtape, I don't know if in your mind you're thinking, oh shit, let me get in touch with the God so I can see if I could use this.
Never
Yeah.
in life have I ever thought about, yo, let me reach out.
Right.
Yo, I did have a question, and y'all might know better than me since most of y'all are producers. But what about like Ice Cube's jacking for beats? Was that shit like cleared, or was that like a homeboy?
Yo, man, he said it. Even if they tell
in the title, jacking for beats.
I mean, I knew that was the title, but Ice Cube was a gangster, so you know.
I mean, I don't think it was anything clear, just because again it was like hip hop. And keep it in mind, in those days of hip hop, and it's the days that I miss, because you'd open a line of notes and you'd be thanking everybody. Everybody. Cool. You know, I miss. I was listening to Kane the other day, and it was just like, yo, he's shouting out people in his rhymes, like peace to LL and peace to PMD. Like everybody was just cool. So I think it's like Ev said, like, yo, even if you were my crew, I jack you too. Like it was just all fun and games. But I think now we're at a point where, and it's funny, if y'all haven't seen it, check out my interview with PJ Morton. If y'all don't know about dude, he's a dope R&B dude on the come up. I was asking him why there seems to be so much unity amongst the youngest soul dudes. BJ the Chicago Kid is on his album, and BJ will be on Anderson .Paak's album, and you know, they all run together. I was like, why do you think it's more unity with y'all than it is in hip hop right now? And he was saying because with the young soul dudes, it's like we trying to keep the music real. You know what I mean? The way that it was in the 90s. Like it was like, you know, the EPMDs and all the people we named was trying to keep it not like what the Vanilla Ices are doing. And what these young soul dudes is doing is trying to do that, not trying to do what the Bryson Tillers and the Party Next Doors and all them cats is doing. So when you're trying to do something that's against the grain, there's more unity versus now in hip hop, you know, as soon as somebody come out, you know, there's a diss record. You know, is Kendrick, to this day, I don't know. Is Kendrick dissing Big Sean? Is Kendrick, I don't know who nobody's dissing no more. Because I miss the days of this where you just had Kool Moe Dee and there's a goddamn red Kango under the tire. Like, like I'm letting you know without letting you know what I'm talking about.
I know he talking about.
Yeah, he know exactly what you're talking about.
Under the truck, it's under the tire of my truck. So there's no misconception about what's going on. You know, I don't know who's dissing who nowadays.
Right.
I don't know why there's not more unity, but I don't think you know, there was any problem with sampling clearance with that. But that's what I think, like we just said, I don't think there's anybody just saying, hey, I want to pay homage to Biggie, I'm a rhyme over the warning, that you need to reach out to Puff to clear that. You know, it's just I'm doing that and it should be cool, whatever. The one thing
So then how come mixtapes, the criteria, the makeup of mixtapes has changed so much? How come people don't do it as much anymore then? How come people have a whole budget for a mixtape versus taking somebody else's joint like we used to back in the day? You don't got to doo-wop or Kid Capri anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I've always.
I'm gonna tell you why. Why? Y'all forgot. Drama got locked up about 10 years ago for that shit.
I didn't forget. I'm glad you mentioned that. I brought it up for a reason.
That is why. That shit changed the whole landscape of mixtapes.
But he beat that case though. He
beat it, but it's the same thing we sit here and talk about. Biz was back in the day, but shit, you see a gradual shift in mixtapes and how.
I think it's a shift in that. I mean, during that time, Drum was
killing shit.
Yeah, but I mean that's not the same as like just giving your shit away for free. But I think, I mean, for me personally, I think from the MC stamp side of stuff, I never was one to rhyme over anybody's instrumental. We was always making original shit, so it was like it was never even like a thing to do.
Right. I mean, you can look at the case of 50.
But in terms of back in the 90s, like before cats would get equipment, like that's what we would do. You know, we go to Frank's house. And,
talk about the 90s. That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know what?
I can't see you in the 90s. Like, yo, kill me to be. Like, yo, what's up?
Yeah, but I mean, not everybody had a kill. Shit. I mean, you look at Fifth. Fifth did both.
But see, that was, I guess maybe I'm talking about different generations because that was hip hop. To if you was an artist. Mm-hmm. You were trying to be an artist and put together your project. Your project wasn't about like I need to get signed to this label to put it together. It was like, no, I need to find this cat over here that does beats, and I might have to pay him a couple of dollars. This cat over here that does beats, pay him a couple of dollars, and you put together your project like that. It was never a thought to even like to put on an instrumental and just rock over that.
But I think you got mixtapes. They go so far back because you got your Kid Capri mixtapes. You know what I mean? So mixtapes go back. You know, all the way back to Flash having mixtapes. And I think it just always evolved because, you know, mixtapes and what I call my mixtape era, the 92 to 96 era, with your SNS and your kick. I mean, your
SNS, Ron G, G-Bo Pro.
But even on joints, was Cats rhyming over instrumentals?
Well, really, it was more just doo-wop in the Bounce Squad. The Bounce Squad.
It was that house.
Had they thing. Right.
My era of mixtapes was more so about exclusives. It was like, yo, get the new Clue because the new Biggie's on there, or get the new SNS because the new Moon is on there. But then there was an era prior to that where it was cats rhyming over, you know, other people's beats because everybody, then, like we said now, everybody can make beats now. If you got an iPhone, you can make beats. But in my day in 88, there was only one nigga in all of West Oak Lane who had a drum machine, you know? So if we wanted to rhyme, we had to rhyme over other people's stuff like that, you know? So I think it's just always gradually changing. But I think like Rex said, after the drama thing, mixtapes seem to become albums. And I just kind of looked up, because like I said, I kind of fell off of mixtapes after 96, 97 when I left Morgan. And then I just looked up and it's like, wow, now mixtapes are like full-fledged albums. But Veg, you was going to say something?
Yeah, I think the difference with the rhyming over stuff is with the Mac Miller situation, he made a song out of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was just a freestyle.
Versus a freestyle, that's what I'm accustomed to. You know, back in the 90s or whatever, when we was rhyming over other people's beats, it was ciphers, freestyle.
Right.
But this is Mac Miller making a whole nother record using Lord Finesse's beat.
Yep.
And I think that was Lord Finesse's beef. Like, yo, that's a song and I'm the producer, so I need to get paid. You know what I'm saying? But I think that's the difference with the the whole rhyming shit. So,
and I think too, a lot of that too became into play when you started to see things when R&B, especially in 96, 97, 98, started sampling hip hop. And what I mean by that is when you had SWV, Crack Command.
That was kind of dope though, man.
But it's when you look at the credits, it's produced by Diddy. It's not produced by Premier. Or when you had J-Lo on the block, that
it wasn't produced by the Beatnuts, it was somebody else.
And I always had a problem with that because I always salute Alicia Keys for this, because when she did If I Was Your Woman off her second album and she was singing over the Warner beat, she got Mo B to come in. It says produced by Mo B. It doesn't. You could have easily just said produced by Alicia Keys. I just did, and she didn't. And I always was like, that's the bad part of R&B. But I think that's the thing.
Wait a minute, when you talk about Alicia Keys, because she didn't do it for that one, but she did it for a whole lot of joints after that.
I mean, again, for me, you're right. I don't know the history. I'm just saying, when I saw that, I was like, yo, that's dope. Even if she just did it once, because you don't have to do it. Because I was pissed, like, yo, like Juju from the Beatnuts said, let us get some of that J-Lo money. Like, if you're gonna be singing over our beat, like, yo, let me and Les live off of it instead of letting the track masters just sample us and then do the same thing. Bink was saying the same thing about the Anthony Hamilton joint, the joint he did on the last joint on Blueprint, the Mama. What's that joint, Veg? I know Mama Love Me joint.
Yeah.
Anthony Hamilton took that?
Used that on Coming Where I'm From album, and it's produced by Jermaine Dupri. So that's when R&B started.
See, Jermaine Dupri and Puffy be doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You remember the Digging in the Crates had that One Day? Was it One Day?
Yeah.
And then did the Young G's or whatever.
Yeah.
Same sample.
Same beat.
But produced by the Hitman. That's whoever Diamond D did that beat.
Right. Wow. So again, that was like R&B coming over here. So it's always like their block coming on our block, but now our block is fighting within itself. Like our block is doing it to our block. And then the other thing I want to say, another thing I always wondered, whatever happened to Sean J. Period? If y'all remember, dude used to do stuff.
Oh yeah.
What happened to Sean J? He became a Christian, and his belief was sampling was stealing, which was a sin. So he stopped producing.
Damn.
What? Right.
Who was this?
Sean J. Period.
What's the name again?
If you look
Sean
at
J. Period.
Yeah, Sean, like he did half the Black Star album. It was like, Sean J was Moses' producer.
Yeah. He did some artifacts joints and stuff.
Yeah, Sean J had a lot of joints out, but that's what happened with dude. He started to look at it like sampling is stealing if I'm not paying these artists, so I'm not gonna sample no more. And I think that's kind of like how he kind of, faded out of obscurity or whatever like that.
Al Green, Green did the same thing. He just did it with singing.
Yeah.
He started doing secular music and it just chilled out.
Yeah, and then I think the last point I wanted to bring up is cats like Adrian Young, who
I was thinking that earlier.
Make music, it's almost to be sampled. Like you could just like how Primo and Royce did with the Prime album. Like we just gonna sample Adrian Young because of the way that his music sounds. I'll be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of when he produces hip hop, but I'm a big fan of just him making music. You know what I mean? And then other people sampling him because
sampling it.
Yeah. No ID sampled him on Nobody Smiling. And so again, sampling is just changing because now we had cats like, Jay-Z with the Rock Boys, when you sampling the Minahan band, Street, that just
it's crazy.
Just came out. Yeah, it's almost like the rules have changed. Because I remember, learning from older guys, and they was just like, it's certain things you just don't touch, whether it hasn't been out long enough or whatever. But I didn't know that. My cousin put me onto that. I had no idea that song was only released maybe a year to 2 years before it was even made, or Jay-Z used it. I had no idea.
Right, but that's what I mean, because the rules are changed. On Jay's last album, there was some stuff that just came out that Timbaland was sampling. What you gonna say, Al?
I got a confessional. I'm just gonna bring it all out because I love y'all, man. I used to feel the same way, man. You can't touch certain stuff before it come out. I heard that Manhattan Street Band before I heard the Rock Boys joint. And when I heard it, I was like, yo, I'm going to sample that shit. And when the Rock Boys came out, I was like, damn, Jay-Z sampled that shit. But you know what I did? I still sampled that shit. And I knew that it was big as Jay did, but I still sampled that shit. I feel the same way, but sometimes you hear some shit, and I mean, that goes back to the Illmatic joint, the Nas joint, the first track off It Was Written. Not Illmatic, off It Was Written. That joint was played in The Professional. And that was another joint. The soundtrack. And it was on the album. So I think
the message,
that rule is true until you hear some real bang shit. You be like,
yeah, you're right.
No,
you're right.
Jay-Z sampled Nas for his lead single off the album, Dead President. He took the World Is Yours Q-Tip remix.
yo, your face, man, when you were saying that.
Niggas get murdered every day, B.
you like what was my man, the coach of the Memphis Grizzlies? Y'all ain't gonna rook.
Y'all ain't gonna rook me.
I mean, I do think that that's the thing, and I've been the same way because I used to be like that, but now I was like, yo, I'm sick of these niggas sampling stuff that, like, yo, the rules is out the window. Then let me.
And that's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. It feels like there's no rules.
Yeah, and I mean, I remember the first J. Cole song I liked was that joint Crooked Smile, and I was like, yo, this song sounds so familiar, and he had just sampled a Jennifer Hudson song that just had come out, and I was like, that's why this shit sounds so familiar, because the video's still playing. The video playing. I'm listening to the new J. Cole song. I'm like, yo, this shit sample anything, man. So it is what it is, bros. Yo, let's run it down, Rec. Give them all your information, man. Let them know what's going on.
Oh man. IG is Worldwide Rec 1. Twitter is at DJ Rec 1. SoundCloud is JRec 1. Hit me up.
All right, give him all your stuff. Yeah, this dude's actually on Twitter every now and then.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
He'll call me. Like, I saw your conversation on Twitter. Let's talk. And I'm like, no, nigga, jump on Twitter.
You're doing it wrong. I'm like, yo, what's up? What's up? He was like, yo, you supposed to do that on Twitter, man. Like, oh damn, my bad. I'm still old school with it. Yeah, man. Twitter is Mental151. As far as the web stuff, I'm about to revamp a lot of stuff. So for the time being, fluxn.com. But that's it for right now.
Let them know where they can hear the joint where you sample the Manhattan Street Band.
Oh man, this is the quick funny story, man. So I'm moving to right outside of LA, and this cat at my job, his brother is one of the co-founders of Manhattan Street Band. Oh shit! So I was like, word. He was like, yeah, man. So he put me in touch with him. I'm talking to him on the phone. I was like, yeah, I'm coming out there. This is that. I'm trying to network for some work out there. He was like, yo, man, send me your stuff. And when you send me your stuff, I'll check it out. And this and that. I was like, okay, cool. So I'm getting my composition work together. And then somebody was like, I think my wife was like, yo, send him the album. I was like, oh yeah, I'm sending the album. And I pulled the shit out. And the first track is his joint. Now I didn't get this cleared. I didn't contact nobody. And I'm like, damn. Can I send this? I called Kill and I was like, yo, Kill, should I send this shit? He was like, yeah, if you want to be sued, if you don't want to, I wouldn't send. So you never know who you're going to run into, man. But as far as that's Ngazi Flux. It's on Bandcamp. The name of the album is called The Ugly. It's a couple years old now.
All right, Jay, what's all your stuff, bro?
J Tyler 0801 on IG, and on Twitter it's at JERIKTYLER.
All right. Nick, what's good?
Twitter, only one way to win, WYNN 79.
All right, and Veg, what's all your stuff, bro?
Hold up, y'all know Houston basically choked, right?
Come on, man, chill, yo.
I just looked at the score, like, yo,
they got their ass whooped, man.
The fact that you got blown out
at home. It's like somebody threatened that nigga with a set of clippers or some shit if they win the fucking game.
Yo, I reached out to Little B, like, yo, did you curse this nigga?
What'd he say?
Like,
What'd he say?
Yeah, somebody paid him off because he was making some dumb plays.
Yeah. But man, what's all your stuff, B?
You can follow me on social media at Vegas World INC, and check out my podcast, Hip Hop Now Podcast, available on iTunes, Google Play, everywhere.
All right, and y'all already know what it is with me. Kill889 on Twitter. We'll make beats for food. Real quick, this is an old magazine. It's called Big Daddy. It's from the UK. If y'all ever been in here, I I collect old records and magazines just like I do records. And the funny thing was, and I don't want to get into it now because it'll be too long, but in this article, Biz is basically saying that he produced EPMD's first album because he gave Eric all the samples to use. Now, I know a lot of old heads, and keep in mind, I'm 43, but keep in mind, cats like Diamond and them niggas is like 50. You know what I mean? They got 7 years on me, and they call me old, you know? So, we'll do another joint just because I think a lot of times people, the older generation, feel that way. Like, yo, if I gave you the record,
yeah,
I'm the producer on it. Like, whereas
co-producer at least.
It seems like there's like this 20-year gag order in hip hop. Like, all of a sudden, everybody in the Juice Crew was like, Marley ain't do shit. Like, I brought ain't nobody say like on the 20th anniversary of the symphony, everybody got on Twitter was like, yo, I brought him records. MC Shan was even like, yo, Marley ain't do it. I brought him records. So we'll get into that another day. But no, you know what? Real quick, just off the top of your heads, what do you think? In thinking of it from an old head perspective, is there any truth to that? Like, yo, I gave you the record for I gave you the Billy Joel record for, Road to the Riches with Kool G Rap. Kool G Rap brought it to Marley. Nobody had equipment, because keeping in mind, we talking about the mid-'80s. Nobody had equipment. It was like, I heard Scott LaRock was like the only nigga in the whole Bronx with an SP-12. Like, seriously, like, yo, you gotta understand, an SP-1200 probably in 1986 probably cost like $5,000.
At least.
So, what do you think about that? Real quick, Rec, I brought you the record. You put it together.
Production most.
Are you the producer? Co-production?
Co-production. I'll give you that.
Nick said it best, man. I can at least give you co-production, because if you bringing me the record, you bringing me the record for a reason.
Okay.
Because either you can't do it, or you know that it's gonna sound right for somebody else.
Exactly.
So, co-production is feasible. We can do that.
Co-production. Ed, what about you?
I mean, bringing a record and bringing a sample to me is two different things. If you bring me a record, you ain't really doing nothing.
Well, let's say this. Let's say I'm bringing you, not like I just brought over my aunt's whole crate of records and you dig through them. No, like I'm like, yo, I want to use this song, this part, but you the only person in the Bronx with an SP-12.
Hook it up.
Co-production without question.
Co-production. All right, Jace, what you got?
Yo, I gave you the gun and I ain't tell you to pull the fucking trigger, yo. Niggas get murdered every day, yo. I pose this question. I pose this question. If I put your name on it and it comes out trash, do you want to be associated production wise with it? You don't know how to control the machine. You don't know how to control the SP. I can see possibly giving you co-production, but yo, niggas get murdered every day.
Yo, we gotta make sure Jace don't watch no movie before the show next time, man.
Shit.
I ain't going to Texas, man. I don't know what's going on down there, man. I'm chilling.
Hey, that's where I'm going to next, man. Hold up, man. Chill.
All right, what you think? What you think, Vague?
Yeah, I think it should be co-production. I've actually done that before because I probably would have been a producer because I was a DJ. I just wound up started rhyming, but I've done it, like, for example, that superhero joint that I did with
Ak and
me and Ak. I love Human Tornado by Rudy Ray Moore, just for how whack the movie is. But the intro was playing, and I was already working on music, and I heard the sample. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, "Yo, that would be a dope beat." But Ak was the one with who can make it happen. You know what I'm saying? So I felt like the idea, the essence, I had the beat in me, but I wasn't the one with the technical skills to execute it, whereas he was, and he could hear it also. And there's things that he did that, I didn't hear. So I kind of felt like, that is co-production, but I'm just not the type of dude to be like, yo, put my name on that shit also. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like that's a valid point, because I'm doing that with Vic right now. Like, he's a digger, but he doesn't know how to work the MPC like that. That's what he has. He got an MP. He don't know how to, he's just not a producer, but he has an ear for it. And I think there's room and space for cats that have an ear, but then not necessarily know the instrument. So I think that works makes sense.
And I mean, for me, I'm with everybody. I think it's co-production. Now, here's the iffy part because Diamond did that on his first album. So if you read the credits to Diamond's first album, Best Kept Secret. Nah. What's the name of his first album?
Stunts, Blunts, and Hip Hop.
Yeah.
I'm getting old. If you look at the credits, it will say co-produced by certain people, and that means they brought the record. But Diamond did not give you any money. You weren't getting no co-production money. You got. So I don't know how much people want the credit. I think most people want credit because there's some money coming with it.
Yeah.
Diamond, you got credit. Your name is on the album, but you
ain't get no paper.
You ain't get no paper.
You know, I don't want to go back down the line because everybody said co-production, but ain't nobody say money. So,
I mean, to me, that is money. I say that because I think as you get credit, you get money.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Diamond, y'all ain't Diamond co-production. Cool. All right. So y'all already know it will be Kill 889. We'll make beats for food, man. I'll check y'all next week. Good looking, y'all.
Peace.
Yo.